Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Nerd Rant. I'm Dr. Summer, also known as Seth, with my co-host
JJ, aka Junior Wolf, because apparently we're robots today.
Anyway, quick question for y'all before we start. This is Nerd Rant, by the way. We're going to be doing, like, a very specific news segment, but this is going to be kind of a news segment, and this is what I was kind of thinking when I said news. We should do, like, a monthly, like, news episode. Like, just, that way we just, not that we have to, but, like, we should name it. It's like, instead of having something random, like, it doesn't have to be in the title, but it's like, here is the nerd news.
Nerdney.
It's really stupid, but not that. But you know what I mean? Like,
We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it a little bit.
But the reason I'm saying that is join the Discord and let us know if you have any ideas of what we can call our little monthly news episode.
Yeah.
The rest of the month, we have stuff to do. I have a lot of ideas. It's just we're waiting for the Fortnite update. Minecraft, we're going to do. We have in the works. I'm just waiting for... There's a big update, so I'm waiting to see if we get any announcements in a week or two. So, like, there's stuff I want to do. Not
and
right
if
now.
there's stuff you want us to talk about, like
Let us
news
know in
that
the
we
comments,
missed or stuff that we might not see ourselves, absolutely send it to us, put it in the comments, Discord, all of that. Let us know so we can talk about it and maybe get some new perspectives on some things.
Yeah, at Nerd Rant Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Join the link tree to see where else we do this. And try to watch it on YouTube, too. We do have it on YouTube every week as well. So anyway, with that out of the way, PS5 Pro.
Yay!
And
we got
Xbox,
that announcement.
kind of.
Yeah, and kind of some Xbox stuff.
So, yeah, PS5 Pro got announced. Before we get into the console itself, what do you think of the presentation? Because I've seen a lot of flack about that as well.
The presentation was pretty bad for a console reveal, and, like, don't get me wrong, you know, it doesn't have to be, like, a big, like, oh my gosh, new console, because it is a mid-gen, so, like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't have to be that grandiose, but at the same time, the way they presented it, especially presenting it with, like, old games, it doesn't make this console look good. Like, their presentation definitely brought it down a couple pegs and didn't hype it up as much as it probably should be.
Yeah, and I know I saw someone saying it's like, it's because they don't want it to be too long, so they tried doing it this way, thinking it might be more consumer-friendly. So it's just, like, I feel like kind of a loss. It's like, you either do it quick and easy like this, like, here's a quick less than 10 minutes, let's see what the last console was, let's see what this mid-gen can do, show off some games, and there you go. Like, we don't need to spend an hour on it. But then the other side, like, it's kind of hard, and I feel like maybe, like, there could have been an in-between, like a 20-minute presentation, you know. I don't mind the guy, but just the way he was talking kind of felt really weird, too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the presentation. Where do you want to start with this thing?
So, as I mentioned before, the games they presented it with were mostly, like, they had some PS4 games, and then they had some PS5 base games. They really probably should have marketed it with a newer game, or even one that has yet to release that's, like, coming out soon, to give us something that's a little more, like, actually trying to be high definition.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the ones that released on PS5 also had PS4 versions, and therefore the highest graphics they were attaining were already the base PS5 because they had, like, the performance mode for PS4 and whatnot.
Yeah, it's hard. Because I will say, definitely this generation, I think, is the worst for both consoles, not just PlayStation, Xbox too, when it comes to first-party games coming out. Like, it just feels like it's been very lackluster. However, I will say, yeah, not that, but PlayStation definitely has some opportunities to take advantage of this with some first-party titles, but it definitely... I'm happy that we saw a handful of third-party titles, because we did see Hogwarts Legacy in here. With some of the stuff.
That one was actually one of the most controversial ones, because when gosh, that is really hard to say fast.
Yeah, why did we both struggle with it? Okay.
When Hogwarts Legacy first came out, it was like the best graphics you could get were on the Series X, and like, yes, it did release on PlayStation 5, but it was mostly agreed upon that it looked the best on Series X. So when, PS5 Pro comes out, you just expect it to be a step up from the Series X, right? Well, here, I'm gonna share my screen because I can't send tweets to you. There's this tweet here where it's literally just comparing the... Is it sharing? Hold on. Can't tell.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Okay. It's literally, and I know you guys listening can't see this, but it's just the two pictures of the same spot at the same time of day in the game. And one is Series X, one is the PS5 Pro comparison. The Series X actually has light rays shining through the window. The PS5 Pro does not. And they both have reflections on the floor. It's kind of shocking.
I mean,
that
the
PS5
seen a lot
Pro
of people
is
say
still
this,
underwhelming.
especially right there. It's really hard to really talk about it because we're having the YouTube or Twitter. I'm not saying it's going to be like significantly better, but like I've seen some people like argue like resolution stuff. We really can't tell until we can see it in our proper 100% resolution on our own device.
Which is true, but we also have to remember here that the specs that the PS5 Pro is going to put out usually aren't even supported by a lot of the games published. So,
Not
in the grand
yet.
scheme of things, it's like, how much better does it really need to get? Like, it matters more I think the way that the graphics are performing rather than the way they look. Like, resolution is good, but do you really need to go past 4K? Like, our eyes can't even make out stuff when it's too small. So 8K is really unnecessary. And then it's the same principle for frame rates. Sure, like, a lot of games already run at 60 FPS, and some of them have a performance mode that go up to 120. It's very rare to see a game that base runs at 30 FPS these days without a performance mode. And so saying, yes, we built a console that stably runs at 60 FPS, that's like, is that really a huge
But it's stably
achievement?
with, like, it'd be like Fortnite, like, being able to run 120 with that, except just slightly less. It's not just stably being able to 60, it's 60 with the 4K. It's with the higher definition graphics.
But we've had 64K for a while. Like, on the PS5 box, like the base PS5, it says 4K 60 FPS. Like, that is what it says. That's what it prides
can
itself
get up
on.
to,
So,
but that doesn't mean the it's like being able to optimize it, and just the games have not been able to optimize enough.
so why
for
would they
some
not
games.
release a software update for the PS5 that allows it to run that better? Instead, they release a new console
Because they just
that's
need a
double
more
the price.
because it's not double, but it's also for not just a software thing. Like, just the game developers just could not take advantage of it fully, so they just have even more power. But the other big thing that I haven't seen enough people talk about is the PSSR, the PlayStation Spectral Resolution, something like that.
Super
And
resolution.
What it's like is it's the DLRSS from Windows or NVIDIA. And that's what it is. And it's on everything. It's not on just PS5 Pro enhanced games. It is on every game that it will take advantage of that.
Which is something else I've seen some controversy over, is for something that's priding itself on being able to run all of these high graphics stably and then leaning on an AI that practically just blurs frames in order for it to generate faster. That's kind of like sad. Like, yes, DLSS is very helpful, and I'm sure it is going to apply to PlayStation as well, but that's usually only something you really want to use if you're playing a game that requires, speed and frames and stuff like that. Whereas a game like Hogwarts Legacy here, if you're playing to look at the pretty scenes, you probably don't want to have that on, because that blurs things. Like, it actually blurs graphics if it ever encounters a spot where, there might be 1 or 2 frame drops. Guess what? Instead, it's just going to blur your graphics.
We'll have to see how it actually runs, but like I said, I'm not super sure on that part, but like that, it's just kind of annoying because I've seen so many people talking about how great that was on computers, and now it's on console, but now it's bad. Now we're bashing it because it's on PlayStation side.
I think it's mostly because computers have a very different audience than consoles.
Yeah, no, it is
Console
definitely
people,
a different audience. I've seen
console
a
people
big talk
want
about
a
that
lot more.
here.
Console people want a lot more like graphics, and computer people want a lot more performance. So when you're looking at, that kind of thing with a computer, it's like, it's going to give me more frames. It's going to allow things to run smoother. That's great. But then when you're looking at console, it's like, oh, it's going to blur things. Sure, it's going to give extra frames, but that's not what the console's looking for, because it already said consoles are capped, right? There's a lot of times there's not many games that support like an uncapped frame rate. Consoles will even cap it themselves. So playing on a console is more about the graphics than it is the speed.
So we'll have to see, because it's the same graphics. It's just now going to be able to run, because I guess Xbox might be just different, because I do feel like some games, I'm trying to think, I think The Witcher 3 still, it's PS4, but it does have a PS5 patch. And I believe that game still runs at 30 on the high graphics mode. It's either it can run 60, it's just slightly less graphics.
On the high, yeah. I think
and
will
that's what it
say
is.
This
it's the
just
higher
to show that I'm not
graphics
biased
with
here.
the 60.
Xbox is technically coming out with a game, or not Xbox themselves, but a partner studio. Yep. They're coming out with a game called Avowed that is apparently going to launch at 30 FPS.
Yeah,
on
like both
the consoles.
So yeah, it's not. There's my dog. Sorry, guys. So yeah, it is not just a PlayStation thing, and I've also, like I said though, I'm just a lot of the stuff I've been seeing. I really just want to wait till I actually get my hands on it and really see and feel it, because I don't really know when it's at 30 or 60, because it is hard to tell sometimes. It's not that big of a deal. So a lot of these older games I'm playing, it's 30 and I don't even notice. It just feels a little slow, but that's like almost the graphics versus the frame rate, because it's just slightly worse. Like BioShock, which I just started playing, I think that was probably capped at 30.
And it is worth mentioning here that in the presentation, the comparisons they were using between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, one of them was running at like a 60 FPS performance, and one of them was running at 60 FPS fidelity. And the fact that the differences were still so minuscule is kind of shocking, because that's like the difference between medium and high graphics. That should be pretty, significant in difference, but it really wasn't. Like, there were maybe some slightly sharper polygons, maybe some slightly clearer grass, but like, I think that's the main shock to people, is that the difference wasn't bigger.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we have to wait and see, because it's other than a Hogwarts Legacy image, I haven't seen too many people talk about it, because we didn't get a lot of examples, but they did talk about the high ray tracing as well. And we'll have to see, again, more opportunities. I do have, this one guy did list a few games that will be launching with PS5 Pro enhancements at launch. Alan Wake 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Demon's Souls, Dragon Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Horizon Forbidden West, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, The Crew Motorfest, First Descendant, Last of Us Part 2 Remaster, Last of Us 1 Remake, Until Dawn. So that's a handful, but there's about 40 to 50 games at launch. But,
and
like I said, we do
great,
have that PSSR for almost everything, PS4 and 5.
I think where this technology is really going to shine is in the new games that come out, not in sharpening old games. Because PlayStation has always been more of the don't update your old games, make a remake. And you can see that especially in the past few years with like Last of Us and stuff like that. They would rather rebuild the game from the ground up and republish it than they would go back and remaster its graphics. Whereas Xbox, their approach is make everything backwards compatible, and they've made like things to increase the frame rates. Like I can go back and play AC1 at
but
like
it's the
60
same
FPS.
game. Like base wise, it is the same game, just with some of these system enhancements that make it run at 60 or something when it was originally 30.
While it's nice to see PlayStation finally like making some of these patches and stuff, I think where this technology is really going to shine is with games that get to build it optimized for that from the start.
Yeah. So, and I think that, I'm pretty sure that happened with the PS4 too. Or PS4 Pro. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's still got a little bit of time. There is some games I can definitely see coming. I saw Black Myth. A lot of people are excited that Black Myth probably will take advantage of this, and that could be really good for that one. So I'm looking forward to that.
I do
But
want to
yeah.
point this tweet out here. This is on more of the technical side, and I'm not a game dev, so I don't know. I haven't looked into this completely, but I saw this factor, and this person was basically just comparing polygon upgrades. So, like, obviously, if you compare a game from the Super Nintendo to a game now, it's going to look like a drastic difference. But even multiplying the amount of polygons we're using by 10 from now to, like, what that would be, it's like a very slight difference. It's not as much of a difference as you would think it to be. So, in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah, I definitely think we're
about
reaching
upgrading graphics. Yeah, when we're talking about upgrading graphics, we might have to rethink how that works, because instead of just sharpening models and stuff, we might want to start thinking about, you know, things like performance or things like different elements. Like, obviously in the past 10 years, we've seen a boom of like ray tracing popularity. Like, that has gone skyrocketing in like the newest graphics enhancements and stuff. So we might have to start thinking about those other technical parts of graphics rather than just trying to sharpen and increase polygons.
Yeah. We'll have to see. Yeah. The like I said, especially for me though, because I've just been kind of seeing some people around, stuff like the graphics wise, I'm just waiting on till it comes out, because how many people actually have played with it? Like, we saw a handful of images on YouTube or Twitter are very different than actually playing it, or even just seeing someone stream it like properly versus the Sony version. So I'm just kind of waiting a little bit closer, because people would probably, I'm going to assume people are going to get this early. So we'll be able to see, and just see how the PSSR takes advantage on some games, because some games it might be different than others.
Yeah.
Do
you have anything else to do on the
But I know another reason why you're probably a little hesitant about it is the price tag.
Yeah, that's what I've seen the main argument being by people. Like,
not $7.99.
graphics are always nice, but yeah, $700 for a console,
which
that is hefty.
It is hefty. However, I also just don't think people are looking at it right. First off, then I've seen it did say on the thing it includes tax, so it's not more expensive. That is included with tax. It comes with the controller, which, like, I know that should be, but like the console itself technically is not as expensive. But also, what I have not seen a lot of people talk about, it will come with 2 terabytes. Does that justify adding $300 extra dollars? No, but it has a lot more. It's more than just
Xbox
a minor.
has 2 terabytes.
Your Xbox is 2 terabytes? What version do you have?
The Series X.
The new one? Because the original had 1. It was the mid-refresh that had the second.
Hold on.
That was the big thing, is the fact that we got a disk drive with 2 terabytes. Disk drive version with 2 terabytes.
You might be right. I can't see anything coming up on Google, but yeah.
So it comes with 2, but here's another thing, right? It most likely will still have that option where I can easily input my my card in, my SSD that I can screw in, because it's the same. It'll be able to take the panel off. So I have my 1 terabyte. I'm gonna have like 3 terabytes with this thing.
But also no disk drive.
Huh? But no disk drive.
No disk drive.
But I have something to say that, which I've seen so many PC people complain. PC people, you don't use disk drives, like, ever. Let's be honest. But then also Xbox people, most of you use Game Pass. You're going digital anyway. Now, I'm not saying, like...
People have game collections still, and there's also
I'm not
the
saying
element
that,
of movies.
But it is still easily usable, like, to get one. I'm not saying, like, this is an excuse. It's just... Is it as bad as people think? Because here's the other big thing that I just don't think people realize, especially when it comes to cost. It's not $699. It is an upgrade. The people that are buying this brand new, that's not what it's intended for. It's intended for someone like me. I'm going to trade in my console, and now it's only like $300-$400, which is still expensive, don't get me wrong, but for the extra storage, for the increased performance.
That's still the price of the PS4 Pro when it first released. Like, that is $400 is the entire price of the console for the PS4 Pro.
I'm not saying it's super great, but it's not meant for people to like randomly fork out $700, $800, $900 to get a disc drive, to get the stand, to get the console, to get PlayStation Plus. That's not who it's intended for. It's intended for the it's like the Pro phones or something that's like super expensive on most phone lines, not just iPhone, but Samsung, all of them that have the higher tier. It's meant for those types of people. It's not meant for the average consumer. The average consumer can still get the normal PS5 or PS Slim, disc, or digital. It is meant for people that will upgrade it. I call it, I'm getting like $300, but I've seen people get up to like almost $450 towards it. So it's only $300 something.
But then they also have to buy the disc drive if they want to use half the games.
So it's around $400.
That's another
with
$100.
disc drive. $80, but
and you also can't buy those used.
Why not?
Because they encode themselves to the PS5. Once you link it to a PS5, that is the PS5 it is used for, and you have to like take it somewhere to, which technically breaks the warranty or whatever, to have it like completely wiped and factory reset, which can't be done, you know, by a person themselves. You have to like hook the motherboard up to a computer in order to wipe it. Then you can resell it and repair it to a PS5. But after it's paired, it cannot be paired to another console. So you have to buy it retail.
Okay, I haven't seen that, but again, it's not 100, it's 80. $20 is a big difference because that adds up when you have everything with the controller, with disc drive, all of the different things.
And you have to buy a stand.
No, that is one of the most annoying things, because you do not have to buy a stand. Most people I know that had a PS5 never used the stands. Like,
I mean, every PS5 I've seen has been standing up.
Yeah, most I've seen don't. Especially after the first one with the very first launch, there were some problems with it. So I have mine laying down. Most people I know have it laying down. And you can put it up without it. Like, it's not the end of the world. And I've seen it's even easier with the Slim. Yes, it's stupid, but it's just like nobody is forcing you to go out and spend this extra money. Like, you have all these games that I know for a fact you're going to have on your account.
It's not about like the fact that, you know, you would have to buy them. It's the fact that they're taking the optional away. Like, every console in the past you've either been able to, you know, use it the way it is, or, you know, lay it down, stand it up. It's come with a stand if it needs a stand. Xboxes haven't really needed a stand. But there's always been an optional element there, whereas this, they're taking the optional element away and forcing you to pay more.
Again, though, but I've also seen, like, because it's going to be more of the slim design, you can use it without the stand. I've seen people lay it down and up and down without the stand, and like, fine. And it's fine.
What if I aesthetically don't like that? Now something that has been included in my purchase for the past 4 console generations, I now have to pay for.
It's only the PS5.
Only the PS5 could stand up?
Yeah.
Damn.
And if the other ones
kind of a
need to, you do not need a stand. You could just lay it on its side. I know the PS3 could. Like, it's all...
I think all but the original Xbox could be on their side.
Yeah, so, like, PlayStation... But if you didn't need a stand. If you did want to, which most of them, like, just aesthetically didn't do that, you can just do it. Only the PS5. The PS5, like, one of the big things was the stand.
But, like, you get what I'm saying. Like, it's the same principle of, like, Apple no longer including chargers with their phones. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, how am I supposed to charge the phone I just bought? I now need to buy an additional thing just to charge the phone.
Kinda. I'd say it'd be more closer to a controller. Like, if PlayStation didn't include a controller. Like I said, like, already was, like, a thing that people didn't really use. And now it's just not there. And if you really do want it, you can buy it.
But they're taking it out and bumping the price. Like, it's one thing if they're taking it out and the price now remains the same. Like, yes, now we are paying more because less things are included, but we're getting more performance, so we're still paying more. But it's not that. They have removed more and upped the price by a lot.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying it I do think it needs to be less, but It's just, I think people are taking it too drastically, especially because I know I see you have that tweet and I've seen that too. The amount of people that think you can build a PC at this range too, it's just wrong. You can't. And I've seen so many people argue, you can't.
I disagree.
You can't. You need so if we look at the performance boost from what the PS5 had, and that we take that 45% boost, and then we take the advantages that it has with DLSS and ray tracing, you will need a 4070. That is the closest thing to get to a PS5 Pro with its extra features, not just performance, because it is higher than the PS5 Pro. But in order to get all that extra stuff, which is assuming, because we don't have the device, we cannot actually get proper specs, it would be a 4070, which is on average
on what OS?
500 range.
Running on what OS?
What do you mean, what OS? Just
what OS on PC?
It's just price picker, all those things that show you performance and all the extra things.
A graphics card running on Windows OS is going to perform a little bit lower than a graphics card running on something like Linux. If you ran,
it's probably Windows.
Linux has been going far up in the recent years because Windows has decreased performance for a lot of things.
I don't want to talk about that.
But if you ran these specs on Linux, it would probably be dang near similar.
But it's also the optimization. I know the Fortnite, for how many seasons, my PS4 was running better than with your nice graphics card and all this stuff. Yes, it wasn't the highest end, but my friend who does have a a $2,000+ computer struggles to get solid frame rate on Fortnite with low settings now in Chapter 5. The consoles are still fine.
When?
What do you mean?
When did he buy it? When did he build it?
I mean, he's upgraded it. If anything, it's
upgraded
more now.
What?
It is a good, I don't know when, but it is a good computer because he knows computers. He builds computers. It is a good computer.
I mean, my brother literally built his own computer with parts that cost him under $400, and he's been running console games at a steady 60 FPS.
With the high graphics. But here's the other thing that I just don't think people realize.
He doesn't have a graphics card. And if he does, it's a super cheap one he got off eBay.
So is it going to have the type of graphics and ray tracing that the consoles would get?
He can run everything on medium graphics, everything that he showed me at least on medium graphics. So if he built that for around $300 to $400, imagine what just buying a graphics card for another $300 to $400 could do.
Which is
already the same price as the PS5 Pro and pretty much doubles, if not triples, the performance you're going to get out of it.
I've literally, so many people have been saying no. It is significantly more expensive to get a PC that will be able to run like a PS5 Pro. And another thing I don't think people see, because I know I experience this, most people don't, because they use a capture card. You're not going to be able to, say, play a game at 60 FPS, 4K, all the fancy graphics, and stream from that computer at a $700 price range. You're not playing at that, or 120 FPS. You're not playing at 120 FPS, 1080p, and streaming from that computer. Well, because I've even seen that one that I'm pretty sure that you're looking at does not have RAM included.
RAM is $30,
but it's still an extra $30 that already it's actually only 770. And it's the fact that people don't realize that you need it.
This guy says, there's already RAM on the GPU.
That's not the same though. That is not the same. You should get RAM if you want to run at a PS5 Pro level.
Because this says, console uses a shared memory pool.
But console is different the way it actually takes advantage and uses everything. It is not the same as computer because it is not running things like the Windows Opera, Linux. They're probably different and they're going to use RAM. But you're not opening an internet browser and you need RAM for all that. So if I'm using computer for computer things, because that's the big thing, just get a PC and do computer things, you can't with that kind of setup. You need RAM for that.
You can use the GRAM,
but it's not going to be nearly as good. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
For $20, you can get 60 gigs of RAM.
And now it's already more 20. It's another $20, $30.
Not 60, not bad.
So it's already
this
close to
graphics
that
card
range,
has
and most of those builds are
of RAM.
$700. It's $780 that I've seen a lot of these builds. And if that was that, now we're over $80. We are now over $800.
And look how much more you can already do with it. You mentioned yourself.
Guarantee
there's the internet, there's streaming, there's all of that stuff. You can do all of that with this. But you can.
You can't. Like, if I want to do what I want to do with my console, I'm not doing it under $1,000. I'm not. Show me a good computer that will be able to 100% guarantee that I will be able to play at this high graphics with the ray tracing at 60 or 120 FPS and stream those. And have 2 terabytes. Does that have 2 terabytes or does it have 1? Because I've seen a lot of them have 1. It does come with 2
terabytes.
Okay, so that one does come with 2. I've seen a lot of them come with 1. It comes with 2 terabytes. Not to mention, you do have all the extra features that I can use, like PlayStation VR too. That probably will take advantage of the Pro options.
PC
so again,
VR, which you can buy a headset for super cheap on and still get the same kind of performance while hooked up to your PC that you do while hooked up to your PS5. Which can also play all of the same games that the PS5 VR can.
Like I said, I've seen so many people, and I'm telling you, you can't. Like, I've seen, like, you need a 4070 to run at a PS5 Pro, which is in the $500 range already. So we are already at almost half of it without the case. But here's the other thing that I hate when people talk about this. It's just the plug and play. Like, I have to then look through, make sure I change my settings, make sure I have DLSS, make sure I put it on 10 or 11, and sometimes Windows 10 runs better, sometimes Windows 11 runs better for certain games. Like, I have to figure all this out. I have to make sure my driver app is downloaded in NVIDIA. Huh?
Do you not use, like, the auto presets and stuff? Like, NVIDIA themselves,
I do, but if something does come wrong,
it installs itself when you use their graphics cards and stuff, and it'll auto set everything to the performance of your computer.
But what if what if something goes wrong and it's not running because it's not going to be 100% accurate? Because you might want to change
just
something.
Like when games have bugs and they'll crash all the time on PS5 and Xbox. Like,
it's not the same. It is a performance thing, and on PlayStation, I can just simply turn performance on or off. And with the PS5 Pro, I can keep my high graphics with 60 or 120. That's the whole point of the PS5 Pro, is be able to run 60 or 120 at those higher graphics.
But once again, those higher graphics aren't really higher graphics. They're AI-boosted graphics to get better stability.
We'll have to see how that looks. But if it works, it works.
But
if I can play at 60
this is
at
raw
4K,
power. The PC is raw power as opposed to, like,
and unoptimized.
The crutches of other things.
I've seen so many games that are more optimized at this price range. Sure, can you get a better PC? Absolutely, but you're not doing it at $700. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. You are not getting a $700 computer. It's wrong. I've seen hundreds of people prove that guy wrong and bash this guy on Twitter. Hundreds of people.
Okay, it's not just this guy that's done it, though. Like,
even like the
so
people,
many other people have done similar
Digital
builds.
Foundry has also said you cannot, like, it is going to be more expensive to get a computer that can run as well as the PS5 Pro. Everyone's
right,
talking about Digital Foundry. Like, you need more. It's going to be more expensive.
Yes, it is $700 as opposed to $900. You're paying an extra $200, but guess what? That is including the price of this controller here, mind you, and it can do so much more.
But it's also going to have so many more problems that it can come up with. And again,
like this guy says, it's saving you $300 in PS Plus because you have to have PS Plus for a lot of things.
PS Plus, I get how many games? It's like Game Pass. Are you okay? Then how much money are you going to save from Game Pass? If this was Xbox and this was Game Pass, how many money would you save from Game Pass?
You would save a lot of money not having to pay for Game Pass.
How many games would you not get? How many hundreds of games would you not have access to? Yes, I get to I would probably play, but I buy most bonuses.
Of the games I like anyway.
I get bonuses in games like PlayStation Plus packs and Fortnite, and I get 2, 3, sometimes 4 games a month for free. It is not just a base, just multiplayer pay. You get so much with that you're like, and again, it is an upgrade, not a new console. That's what it's meant to be. So if I were to switch to PC, just magically, because PC is significantly better, I'm missing out on almost 250 games now. I'm sorry, I don't care, like, if Epic Games and all these places have free games, how am I going to get all of my 250 games to be able to play on a PC right now? in the next week. Can I get them all $250 legally? How much money do they have to spend on games?
Well, that's not a fair comparison.
That is, because that's the whole point. It is for a ecosystem.
Obviously, if you've been buying them on PS5 Pro, yes, you're going to have more games on there when you go to PC. But PC, if it's easier, obviously, if you're coming from Xbox, because Xbox has the smart delivery and stuff like that, so a lot of their games port over to PC if you own them. But it's still a similar principle where it's like, yes, if you've been buying games on Xbox your whole life, of course you're not gonna have all of them on PC, but that doesn't mean there's not free games on PC. Like I have
there's obviously not
hundreds
free
of games in my Epic Games library that I've just been claiming, and same for GOG, and Steam has free games, and like
I mean,
all
there
of these
will be
places
free
have
games,
them.
but then I'm gonna have to get different games. I'm gonna have to wait for my games that I already have access to or I've been playing, and again, it's because it's not meant it's not meant to switch you to PlayStation. That's not what it's for. It's for people that are already in the ecosystem and are PlayStation enthusiasts. That's what it's meant for.
But that doesn't give them the right to spit on them like
and
this.
This is where we're going to bring up Xbox, because I've seen a lot of people talk about this. This is partially Xbox's fault too. Because with Xbox officially, just blatantly claiming that they do not care about not directly, but just that they are more focused on Game Pass, PlayStation doesn't have a competitor now, so they can do stuff like this easier. Without there being
a competitor. Just because Xbox isn't publishing consoles as actively doesn't mean they're not going to put out consoles. Like Xbox has already stated,
but
they're working on the next generation of consoles, and they're going to have similar technology to the PS5 Pro. And I can almost guarantee you it's not going to be as this pricey.
No, neither will the PS6. Because we're going to be able to optimize some stuff more in 4 years. The PS6
I think
is
the
not
PS6
going to be like
will be
$900.
this price, if not more expensive.
It might be maybe this price with disc drive.
Because how much was the PS5 Pro? Or the PS5 when it launched?
$500.
Okay, and the PS4 Pro was $400. So what's to say that when the PS6 comes out, it's not going to be $800?
It might be.
Okay, and Xbox has been able to maintain
Xbox will lose
accounting for inflation.
More money. Significantly. That's not a good thing. Because we've already seen they just laid off another 800. They just laid off another 800 people.
No, they laid off 800 people this year. They only just laid off 300, and all of those 300 were corporate suits. None of them game devs. Not a single one of them was game devs or anybody in the actual game development industry. They were all corporate suits, people behind like making promotion decisions and things like that they really didn't need.
Did they also not claim though that Game Pass would not go up? It did go up. There's a new game tier. Did they also not claim that the jobs were going to be safe and that this would not affect the companies as much or the people? And it did. They lied to you. They Game
also
Pass
disclosed that there would be downsizing.
People went up.
Like they disclosed that in court that there would be downsizing in a lot of these companies trying to get rid of the extra flack that are simply slowing down all of these teams.
So okay, cool. They did downsize, but then what about the Game Pass going up? Then certain games are changing. Inflation, exactly. Price goes up. And that's what's happening here.
It has nothing to do with the content that was added to Game Pass. It was simply inflation.
It does, because they just did a $70 billion deal. $70 billion. That's how it works. Not inflation.
Game Pass went up by $3, which
when they were
for
specifically
inflation,
told
it makes sense.
That Game Pass would not change. That doesn't mean you need to.
They said that this would not affect Game Pass. The deal would not affect Game Pass, and it didn't. Inflation did.
So you're really telling me the reason Game Pass changed, that there's a new tier and everything, was not because they just spent $70 billion?
The new tier, I think that probably was a side effect of it. However, that tier is not necessarily a new tier. It's just a rebranding of a tier that already existed.
Which now is also, I've seen multiple games are locking out because the tiers are changing. Like, they couldn't play their game anymore because it went up, and now it's pretty much only Ultimate that you get some of this stuff. Black Ops 6 isn't actually on most Game Pass tiers. I'm pretty sure it's only the highest one, Ultimate or PC Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So where's that? Like, let's specify. It's not on Game Pass day one. It's on Ultimate day one. Let's hear that. I don't want to hear Game Pass on day one no more. Now that's a lie. It's not on most Game Pass versions. It is only on the most expensive and PC.
But it discloses too when you go to your console tier that you don't get day one games.
And it doesn't. It's not actually day one on Game Pass. It is on Ultimate.
Because the only Game Pass tier that includes day one releases is Ultimate. And that is one of the benefits disclosed when you look at the tier comparison on Xbox and their website. They're not lying about it. They're being very upfront about it.
And that's another thing that I've seen. Because Xbox, you could do this too. With the PlayStation Plus thing, do you not get deals? Or is there not like Black Friday deals where you can get cheaper for like a year, like the 3 months?
They do that sometimes. Yeah, I'm not sure what the last one was because I only started paying for Game Pass last year.
Because for PlayStation, I do that too. I get my Game Pass or my PlayStation Plus for a year. It's not because is there a year option for Ultimate?
I don't think you can buy it by year.
I think it's just 3 months.
You can buy gift cards per year, and those go on sale.
But yeah, so you can do sales. So again, I'm just saying it is slightly cheaper than like everyone's making. It's not this much. You can significantly get it cheaper. And then I do that. You can save up $5 a month, and you can get the discounted version for all the games for all this. It's just like people aren't seeing like everything. It's just 700. There's plenty that it can do. And again, we're gonna have to wait and see though. Here's another thing that I've seen some people joke about, but in all honesty, it's true. Do you know when this is going to sell well? GTA 6, if that ever comes out. Because it's not coming to PC. So people are going to be able to want to play it at the best possible way, and that is going to be with the PS5 Pro. Unless Xbox does some kind of mid-gen, which they did. It was the digital 2TB X and the 2TB X.
I mean, I see your point there, and you're probably right.
A lot of people
will get a lot of sales from that.
And
however,
that is already what it probably is.
It is worth mentioning that GTA has already said, Rockstar, I think it is, right? Rockstar has already said that they don't like the price of games as of now, and they want it to increase.
Yeah.
So imagine, GTA 6 releases, and it comes out, and it's like a $90 game base. What if that happens and people are like, oh crap, now I don't have the money for the PlayStation that I wanted to get. They're just going to have to buy it on the lower tier until they can afford the other PlayStation.
Yeah.
With the price of the base games these days, is it really worth getting that tiny graphics upgrade? If you can barely afford the game?
Because it is, like I said, a lot of games, it will be almost double FPS. It's going from 30 to 60. And I've seen a lot of people wishing they can get graphics, but they can't because they're choosing the performance mode. Most people, I think, what did they say? 3 out of 4 people are choosing the performance mode. So only 1 out of every 4 people actually play it on the max graphics on console, or at least PlayStation. Probably the same for Xbox, or somewhat close. So it's not just just tiny little bit of graphics. It's also the performance of being able to get to that 60 consistently. And again,
but a lot of it is on the dev side as well.
It is. Don't get me wrong. It can reach 120 FPS, and the devs can make a game that can reach 120 FPS. They just don't, and now they're going to have the ability to do that easier, and the devs they're making it easy for the devs. Which is stupid, but that's what is happening here. The devs can now more easily and more accessibly access the ability to reach to those tiers versus the normal PS5 or Xbox.
If it's a PlayStation exclusive.
What do you mean if it's a PlayStation exclusive?
Because Xbox isn't using the same technology. As of now, there's no speaking for the next generation, but as of now, Xbox isn't using this technology, so if they want to multi-platform release, they can't optimize it for that technology. They have to optimize it for this technology, especially because they also have to make it compatible with base PS Pro as well, so they really can't take full advantage of this technology yet. But they would have to wait PSSR, until next gen before they can really develop for that.
I don't think they don't have to develop for PSSR. That is a built-in thing. Because it said it's on all
but they
games.
Can't
there
rely
won't be
on
a patch. So they don't, they're just going to get access to that because the console will have that and just slightly more performance to be able to do that. So if they keep developing and they develop the Xbox and Xbox gets its version and PlayStation just gets a slightly better version that can consistently run slightly higher FPS for free. Like, they don't have to do anything because it's just automatically built in to have that performance boost.
Until the business people lock it behind PS.
What do you mean? Like, that's what it is.
I'm making a joke because marketing and economy, they'll be like, yes, PSSR is now behind this PS Pro tier, no, not PS Pro, PS Plus, that's what I meant to say. It's locked behind the PS Plus, and you have to pay for PS Plus to get PSSR.
That'd be terrible, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised with today. But I can guarantee I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Imagine locking performance mode.
Sorry, you want 60 FPS? You gotta pay for a subscription.
But yeah, I'm trying to think. What was the other thing? Wasn't there another PlayStation or another Xbox thing that happened? Or was it just those layoffs?
Was there? I think it was just that. I don't know.
Oh, I also want to just point out that Xbox does have a $700 console, and it is just the same generation, just with SpongeBob.
The SpongeBob. Yeah, that's because
it's limited edition.
The Xbox Series X, which also comes with a disc drive and a controller, limited edition, skinned console, that also comes with a game and paid DLC for said game. The value of all the stuff that is not including in the console and the controller is like $200. Because if you're counting like,
but how expensive are the Xbox controllers? Aren't they still like
Xbox controllers are $60?
Yeah, so it's just 60 plus even a full game. That's what,
60 plus
90?
I'd say 20 for it being like an exclusive controller that you can only get by buying the Xbox. Then the Xbox itself, you could probably add, what would you say is fair, like 50 value for it being a skinned exclusive console?
I don't know what the value is on console
the game
skins.
itself plus DLC for the game, if we're going off of the base price of games, $69, or yeah, right? Yeah, that's right.
$69.99.
Yeah. And then say 20 for the DLC.
Maybe. I don't know what
I
don't know what the DLC is.
Neither do I. I don't play the game, but
yeah.
Like, just going off of bases and averages, that's like $200 in value, and the console already comes with a disc drive, and you don't need to pay for a stand if you want to stand it up or down. So yes, they have a $700 console, but it has twice as much as the PS Pro does.
But how,
so
is
it's not
it
a fair
2
comparison.
terabyte or is it the 1? And again, performance-wise,
I believe it's
not
2
going to
terabyte.
run. Okay, so it is the 2 terabyte one. Again, the stand is not as big of a deal as people see, because I see so many people that are using it without a stand.
But it is something missing.
There's something missing, but it's not like the end of the world. Maybe they just can make a good version because the Slim changed the way it worked. So maybe the Slim just can handle standing up better. So you don't need a stand because now the PlayStation itself can just stand, which means you're saving money because you don't have to have that. From now on, like, we just don't need to produce that anymore. And if you really want it, there is an option. If you really want it, which you don't need. And again, both systems are going towards a digital. Yes, I understand, and I do agree that it's nice to have the option to be able to just buy the digital or disc version. But it does give you an easy option because you can just take off one of the plates and easily plug it in. But most games
for an
are
extra
just $80. For $80, yes.
My logic is, if you don't want to include it, great. I don't care if you want to make it like an add-on that you have to purchase along with it, but that means my console should be $80 cheaper. Like, that doesn't mean you can hike up the price more. That means my console should be cheaper because you're not including the thing that was included with it last time.
But again, the graphics and everything for it are more. Not just the graphics, but performance, the storage, everything is more, and it is higher than the Xbox. It will have
$200 more?
I mean, I don't know what's all in it. And again, we'll have to see how optimized it is for all games, because it might do even older games. It might do like the PS3 games with the classic, PS2, PS1 games. I've seen it is because I've seen a lot of people saying the PSSR is better than the AMW version of DLSS.
Well, I don't think. And do you mean AMD? Yeah, I don't think AMD has the best version of that, to be honest. I think NVIDIA is probably the
best,
leading
yes.
one
NVIDIA
in that
is the
technology.
leading one. And that's why I had to say the 4070 versus an AMW one, because it has all these other things that only the NVIDIA graphics cards are able to fully optimize and take advantage of, with the ray tracing, with some extra performance things. So
yeah, but I think
it is the second best now on the entire market, theoretically. But we can't really decide that until it comes out. Until we actually see it in use, different ray tracing options, different monitors, this, that, all the things, see how the performance versus fidelity mode works on not just old ones, but like you said, it really will be something to be cool to see with the new games that are launching eventually. And they're able to take advantage of that day one and see what they can achieve. Because this will give them more options. It's not an if and or but. This does have more power now. Because I've seen, from the specs, 33 versus the 10. I've also seen that apparently if you look at the PS4 to PS4 Pro, that was like 120% boost. This is like a 250 with everything included with the PSSR. It's like a 250% boost. Up to 260, because I've seen some of the numbers were up to 4 times ray tracing ability.
Yeah, but I'd be interested to see how much those components actually cost them, because if it isn't really costing them that much more extra, then they probably shouldn't be charging that much more extra.
And again, this is just where just not having a good competitor without Xbox really having a mid-gen refresh like they did, because they did last time. They had the Series X1, right? Or the 1X?
Yeah. They
had that competitor to deal with. Now they don't. Who's going to challenge them? What, the Switch 2 that still hasn't been announced yet? I do think if that was there, it would be cheaper. I think if there was an actual competitor, because the 2 terabyte PlayStation X, Xbox X is not the competitor. If they actually had a mid-gen that did have slightly more performance, had the ability to do extra ray, all this, I can almost guarantee it would be cheaper. Not by a lot, but maybe like you said, there would be, without the disc drive, they would do it down to $650, maybe $600, which is still expensive, but that is reasonable. A lot of people are saying it probably should have been $650 without the disc drive. But there's no one to really tell them no, because this is going to sell. I don't know if you saw, the disc drive is already sold out on Amazon and has outsold the Xbox.
I do want to say this, though. Have you seen the like to dislike ratio on the announcement video?
No, the dislike's not great. And
it's almost 75 to 25. It's crazy, the amount of dislikes. So yes, it's going to sell, but I think the people it's going to sell to are the people
that it was intended
super
for.
PlayStation fanboys,
which is what it's intended for. It's not intended for the average person to be like, hey, you've never bought a console before, here's this really nice console, give us $700, join the ecosystem with this. That's not what this is for. It is an upgrade. It's not a new console.
If that's the case, and I think this might be a smart idea on PlayStation's part, if I go to trade in my console, and my console has a disc drive and you're giving me one that doesn't, maybe include a disc drive with that. I think, obviously, I can see that a slight money hit for them, I think especially if I go and I'm trading in for a more expensive console, but mine has a drive and that one doesn't, just include that with the trade-in. I'll still pay the, whatever it is, $250 or something you said that is extra on top of the value of my PlayStation, but you should probably include a disc drive there. That way those people who bought the console that had a disc drive aren't losing out and don't have to pay an extra $80 for a brand new disc drive.
Yeah. I will say the 300, 350 that I said, that is for a digital, because I do have a digital. So yeah, you're not going to get one. You will get around $40 to $80 worth of value towards the console for that disc drive. So you are saving money by trading it in versus just buying a straight up new PS5 Pro with a disc drive.
But I think that's people's biggest complaint with this console.
It
the
is,
fact that it's
the
not
disc drive
a base
is probably
disc drive. So if they were
thing.
able to do something like that, where if I'm trading in a console with a disc drive, I get a disc drive with my PS5 Pro, I think that would make a lot of people happy, and I think it would quiet a lot of the roars about the price.
I will say, though, the other thing with that, especially money, how would they get that out? Because then they would have to give how many disk drives to, like, every GameStop?
Include a code with each of the bought consoles for, like,
okay, yeah, they could do that. Then you get it from the PlayStation, like,
online
store or something.
Yeah, exactly, because PlayStation Store will always have them in stock, so if you purchase a PS5 Pro, then you could absolutely include a code with that allows me to order one online for my console.
And I think even if it wasn't a full, I think even if they give a discount, imagine they gave half off. If you had a disc drive, you can buy it from the PlayStation Store for $40.
Yeah, that's still something that's, a step towards being better for, the people who paid all that money extra for a physical.
But I'm trying to think, it is only $50 for it. So, like, you are getting that bonus, if not more sometimes. And I'll have to see, and also for the people wondering, I am planning on getting it and trading in my PS5. I'm going to be getting and pre-ordering it, so I'm going to trade it in. I did call GameStop. I want to do it through GameStop. Because it's the 2 terabyte, which I also just don't see a lot of people talking about. Like, it's not just the graphics. 2 terabytes. That's a good chunk, because how easy is it for you to increase good storage? Not an external hard drive. How easy is it?
Very easy. I buy the, what is it now? I think $80 terabyte expansion, and I just plug it into the back of my Xbox.
But is it a hard drive?
No, it's an SSD.
It is an SSD? Okay. Because, we have an SSD too. So it's like I'm easily going to be able to take mine out, get one, and I'll be able to get up to 3. And my big thing with that is, and why I'm excited about that, versus the external or the extra cannot do media, at least for PlayStation. I don't know if Xbox does. So all my game clips and stuff, I don't get access to. Like, I'm still limited to the base one, which has the built-in, like, system updates and some other things. So in reality, I have like 650 towards media. So this will give me significantly more. So I can keep 1.5 terabytes of my games and still have like 1 terabyte of media and still have extra.
Yeah.
So that's one reason why I'm doing it. Like I said, it's just an upgrade. It's like just every once in a while you should get something new. Like, you replace parts on a computer. So I'm just
You're absolutely not wrong. Like, people who are trading in consoles, this is probably a good move for them. I just think that it's unfortunate to go from a disc drive console to a non-disc drive and then have to pay $80 to get a new one. So
I am thinking about
if
getting
PlayStation
that too,
made a move toward, helping people with that, I think that would undoubtedly make this a really smart idea for trade-ins.
And there was actual competition for not just Xbox, but if Switch 2 came out and they actually announced it right now, they might be a little bit more scared. Some of the PC stuff, like the Steam Deck and stuff.
Exactly.
There's just nothing right now in the market as a proper competitor to PlayStation right now. So they can just do this willy-nilly. I will say, though, I think my biggest confusion is the graphics are there, being able to get the 60 and 4K, the 2 terabytes, the PSSR. Why is the price? Because I can get inflation, kinda, but I'm confused. Have you seen the prices in other areas? It's like $1,000 in UK. So for the US users, absolutely, but I understand completely that it is way too expensive, because in the UK it is, what was it, 800? Which if you go to the pound, it's almost $1,000 USD.
Dang.
Which I don't know why that the UK has been getting hit like that, because I know there's some other stuff that's been hitting the UK when it comes to consoles and stuff and technology.
Yeah. But
I'm getting it. I do think this will be, again, a worthwhile upgrade. I just think people have to look at it that it is not, if you were thinking it's drastically too much, it's not for you, and that's nothing against you. I'm not saying you're broke because you don't have, I'm not saying that. I know people joke about that. That's not what I'm saying. It is just for the already PlayStation enthusiasts that were honestly going to buy anything anyway. The people that are buying the Slim as a change. You don't need to buy the Slim versus the original. There's nothing crazy like that. It's not like the OLED versus the normal Switch monitor. It is strictly for the enthusiasts, and that's who this is for. So, yeah.
I guess we'll see.
We'll see. Did you gonna buy it?
Nope.
And with that, I'm Dr. Zombrin with my co-host.
Yes.
More like no.
Fair enough.
Bye.
Bye.